Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
Several people sent me an embarrassing article out of Michigan, and yeah, it's embarrassing. One of our state legislators got in trouble with the law, and it was all caught pretty much on videotape. And it's this happens from time to time. Somebody gets pulled over, and it turns out they're a legislator or somebody important, and sometimes the police won't play along with them. And then they'll say something, that is, the legislator will say something stupid. And I've seen it happen with other politicians and other elected officials, but this time it's a Michigan representative. And the story I'm going to talk to you about is from Fox 2 Detroit. Carrie, Steve, Mark, and Willie all pointed out this story to me. Amy Lang wrote it along with some other Fox 2 staff members. Michigan Rep. Jewel Jones, his attorney says troopers used excessive force in drunk driving arrest. That's the latest update, but there's some other strange things that happened during the traffic stop. The attorney for Michigan State Rep. Jewel Jones says the Michigan State police troopers went too far and used excessive force during a drunk driving arrest. Now, this happened on April 6th, and it made the news because of some things he said during the traffic stop, but we'll get to that first. The attorney who represents Jones made some statements. Jones has been charged with drunk driving, along with having a gun in his car, and resisting and obstructing police along I-96 in Livingston County. And some people are going to ask me why it matters that he had that in his car. It's a problem because of the drunk driving charge. Okay, and so I've dealt with this before, and Michigan's got some rules about if you're carrying one of those, you shouldn't be doing it while you are driving a vehicle and you have too much to drink. So the attorney says clearly he's overcharged. Clearly police abused their discretion here, and they used excessive force on him. Now here's the story. According to Michigan State Police, Jones had a blood alcohol level more than twice the legal limit as he drove for at least 50 miles from Southfield to Fowlerville. And Fowlerville is out kind of halfway between Southfield and Lansing. And he had his gun in his cup holder before crashing. He's accused of becoming combative with police and a paramedic who tried to help after the crash. He's a third-term representative, and he had a blood alcohol content of 0.19%, which is more than twice the legal limit. He's charged with resisting and obstructing officers, driving with a high blood alcohol content, reckless driving, and possession of a weapon while under the influence. State police had said that he crashed into a ditch that day. However, video from the dash cam arriving on the scene shows his Chevy Tahoe on the side of the road with an ambulance behind it and his female passenger inside. Now, Jones is an auxiliary police officer in Inkster, and in the video he's seen talking to a paramedic and showing his badge. The paramedic nudges Jones away as police walk up and ask for his license. Jones said he wouldn't give the license to them, and so the troopers wound up actually taking him down. Those actions are what his attorney said are excessive and unnecessary. They can't just say, give me your ID or we're going to arrest you. And when Mr. Jones declined to do so, which is everyone's right, this is when they wrestled him to the ground and they tased him and they maced him, according to the attorney. Now, the Michigan Information and Research Service obtained the full police report and shared it with Fox 2. According to the report, when police arrived at the scene, Jones had his pants partially down and was holding up a female passenger on the passenger side of the vehicle. Her pants were down also. That's according to the report. The defendant's behaviors were reported to be so serious that they had escalated to a point that the troopers had to tase and pepper spray the defendant, the county prosecutor said. Jones is free on personal bond, has been suspended from his volunteer position with the Inkster Police Department. During his arrest, and this is what made all the headlines, he was heard on dash cam video saying he would call Gretchen on the troopers. When asked Tuesday about the arrest, Governor Gretchen Whitmer declined to discuss it. So the guy is a state rep, goes to Lansing, he's a lawmaker, a legislator, and he's in the House of Representatives, and our government is set up roughly parallel to how the federal government is. We've got a House of Reps, we've got a Senate, and then we've got an executive who's the governor. And during his arrest, he was heard on dash cam video saying he was going to call Gretchen on the troopers. He's gonna narc him out to the executive, to the governor. And, Whitmer said, I don't have much to say other than the investigation is proceeding. House Democrat leader Donna Lazinski released a statement to Fox. These are serious charges. It's important to let the investigation proceed and the legal process play out so all the facts can come to light. Jones is due back in court on June 30th. Jones represents the 11th District in Michigan, which includes Garden City and Inkster, as well as portions of Dearborn Heights, Livonia, and Westland. He is also an auxiliary police officer in Inkster, which is a volunteer role, and a member of the Michigan National Guard. And there are all kinds of examples of things like this happening. And I remember a couple years ago, the dash cam footage of a trooper giving another legislator a roadside sobriety test. And during the test, the guy kept saying, I am a legislator, I'm an important person. I'm simply going to Lansing. I'm going to conduct, the people's business. You shouldn't do this to me. And half, like, I'm too important, you should let me go, to half, it's going to really screw up my career if you do this to me. And, and when people have had too much to drink, they often don't think that clearly or argue that clearly. And the state trooper, to his credit, said, dude, I said, count backwards from 25 to 14 or whatever. And of course, the guy fails the test miserably, and that happens. And I can also tell there's other examples from Michigan of, for instance, the executive of a county, the county executive being pulled over for driving all over the road like this, and a police officer recognizing the executive and going, "Oh, aren't you so-and-so?" And then giving the person a ride home, rather than saying, step out of the car, do blah, 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 and subjecting them to whatever it is that they should be subjected to if, in fact, they fail those tests that they were never given. So sometimes they get special treatment at the roadside, sometimes they don't. But here, he, according to all the reports, said that he was going to call Gretchen on the police officers if they continued to insist on doing what they were doing. But the real thing here is, did he have the alcohol in the system? And also, was he carrying something with him when he did? If so, those are very, very serious offenses, and we'll just let the courts do what the courts do. If he wasn't, then that's what the courts also do. And if there was excessive force used, well, that would be a problem also. What a lot of people want to do is they always want to say, let's take a situation, and there's one person did something wrong here, one person did something wrong here, they cancel, we all go home. It's not how it works. So if the guy, in a hypothetical situation, I'm going to use made-up facts here, hypothetical made-up facts. Someone's driving down the road, and they are operating while impaired, OWI, weaving down the road. Police officer pulls them over, says, get out of the car. When they get out of the car, the police officer roughs the person up. Does that negate the fact the person was operating while impaired? No, it does not. In fact, it might be a second crime. So first crime, operating while impaired. Second crime, assault and battery, or whatever you want to call it. And so these crimes don't cancel each other. They're each crimes unto themselves. So if the police officers are out of line, deal with that also. But that does not negate the fact that the allegations here are that the guy was drinking, driving, and packing at the same time. And if that's true, that's one thing. Was he roughed up? If so, that's another thing. Completely different thing. So again, these things don't cancel each other out. They are very serious allegations on both sides. So again, the most recent update, the Michigan Rep. Jewel Jones' attorney says that troopers used excessive force in drunk driving arrest. But of course, this is the infamous arrest where the man said he's going to call Gretchen on the cops, on the troopers, because they apparently interfered. And part of the story that caught my eye is, according to reports, the man's pants were down, partially down. But I mean, they're either up or they're down. I don't know, but partially down. And that the woman who's with him may have had her pants not all the way up either. On the side of the road near Fowlerville, Michigan. Not a lot happens in Fowlerville, by the way. I've been there many times, but Fowlerville is a neat little town. But I don't think it's happened in Fowlerville, but trust me. First time I've seen Fowlerville in the news in quite some time, so there you go. From Fox 2 Detroit, Amy Lang and Fox 2 staff wrote it. Carrie, Steve, Mark, and Willie sent it. Thanks a lot, guys. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. Be your own friend. I guess that means I'm going out shoe shopping.